Welcome to part 3 of our potato grow along, and at this point we are just mainly covering the potatoes to protect them from frost. Here I'm doing it with a good layer of straw. These are my second earlies. I'm adding around a 3-inch deep layer just to make sure that the frost can't damage the leaves. I have had some frost damage on these before I've had the chance to do this. Luckily that frost damage isn't too severe, so they should continue to grow absolutely fine. Do keep an eye on them to make sure that the leaves haven't popped back through, and just scoop a little bit of that straw back over if it has, just to protect it from the frost at this time of the year. This is the main crop variety that we popped in the bucket and we're earthing up, as they are indeterminate types. So even without a frost I would still be doing this, and I'm just covering the leaves, and then within a day or two they will be back up. At this time of the year I'm being careful to make sure to keep those leaves underneath the compost at any risk of any frost. I could also use a layer of straw and then a layer of compost here and keep layering them up. So if you can get straw a little bit cheaper or free locally, it is a good, easier option. Here I'm using a hoe to earth up. These are my first early potatoes. If they were my main crop potatoes, then they would have a much wider gap between them. When we're doing our main crops, particularly with earthing up like this, one of the things we need to make sure is that we're not scraping the soil or compost from too far down the edges and risking exposing any tubers and potatoes as they grow, as we don't want the light to get to these and then cause those potatoes to go green, because then we won't be able to eat them. Another option, which is free as long as you don't have any pesticides on your lawn, is to use grass clippings as a top dressing and a mulch over your potatoes. This we want to do on a reasonably thin layer to make sure that we don't end up with a really soggy mess. And if it rains a lot, particularly in pots, this can just cause a problem with rotting. But a layer of 1 or 2 inches that's going to dry out in the sunshine is a great use of our grass clippings. If you haven't planted your potatoes yet, then do check out our video, which is video 2 of how to plant them. With around 2 weeks to my last frost date now, I'm going to be getting the rest of my main crop potatoes in the next few days, which will go into buckets. But do make sure that you space them adequately apart if you are putting them into beds. When earthing up indeterminate potatoes or main crop varieties in our bucket, we're going to continue to add layers of soil around 3 or 4 times until we get to the top of the bucket. When we're doing this in a garden bed, we're looking at around 4 to 6 different times of earthing up to encourage the maximum amount of potatoes that we can grow in each given area.